Hey, today's video is very focused on you, the ones who are managers, directors, who are looking and driving teams to be successful. A company usually has hired you so you actually build a team or have a team and make sure that that team is productive, they are efficient, and they are actually focused on outcomes, not so much into outputs. And these ones could be considered like different aspects of defining success according to the company. But there is a basic ingredient, in my opinion, that actually is going to help you build those teams or enable those teams to be successful. So for me, the key ingredient to creating successful teams is to have a proper team culture. Team culture, again, can be defined in different ways, but usually it talks about the way that the team works together. What are the rules of engagement, let's call them, how they behave with each other, what are their values, and what are their goals and vision for that team. So everybody is aligned and understanding how they would like to work together and how they are going to be able to get from a certain point and reach their vision. So many times people or teams do this in different ways. Some of them, they build together a team manifesto. It's something that Scrum promotes, Agile, I believe, as well. And it is basically defining what are the rules of engagement for the team. It can start from what is the vision of the team? What is the team here to do? How the team is going to work together? What are the processes that they have? What are their values? What are things that are important for them? And this way, you are going to be able to create a successful team. So for example, for me, I have worked with product management teams. So the success of a product management team, you can define it in many different ways. Of course, it can be the basic success of the different products that those teams are managing. It can be also that I want to excel in product management practices. It can be many different ways, but you have to have a goal to understand where you want to be and why are you there in the company. And it's not necessarily where you want to be with the product. It could be, but it can also be what you want to be as a team. So you also have to understand maybe there's a difference between the team vision and the product vision. So you have to understand what that vision of your product team, your product management team, it doesn't matter really which team you're building. You have to understand what is the vision for that team. Why is it there? And what is the problem that is there to help solve? Next, you are going to have your values. Values are going to be very different and they are going to vary a lot between company and company. Some of the most common values that you can see out there are things like being open, sharing all the plans that you have, trying not to keep things to yourself. Another one that is relatively common is that you want to promote innovation. You want your team to be innovative. You want your team to actually move forward and see where the future is going to be. Another one that you could say that is a value is what Facebook had. I think it was Facebook, and it's the move fast, break things. Maybe that's their vision. Depends on how you see it. I never really saw how Facebook was basically phrasing it. So it could be either the vision, but it could also be one of the values that the teams have. What does it mean in practice? It doesn't mean necessarily that you have to break the whole world, but you want to build things. You want to make sure that if you're going to fail, you fail as early as possible. And then once you have failed, you want to make sure that you are able to learn, that you apply those learnings, and that you move forward. This way, the next time that you're building something, innovating, developing, whatever it is, hopefully you take advantage of those learnings and you can apply them in the new iteration. And this way, avoiding the problems that you have had in the past. You also want to make sure that you set some kind of practices, some kind of ways of working that are going to help your team working together. You don't need to do all these things alone, by the way. You have to do them with your team. This is important. It is important that the team also owns this. If it comes only from you as a director, as a manager, that can have a problem. That is a top-down, basically, culture, and usually people are not going to necessarily accept that one. But if it's something that the team has agreed, something that the team has collaboratively put together and agreed that this is the way that we should work, this is probably going to be much more successful and much easier to adapt by the team. adopt. And there are many other different things that you can consider when building the culture. It can get quite complex. I would recommend you to start simple, especially if you had not set a team culture, because it's going to take a while until it starts working. So it's always better that you iterate, that every now and then you have retros, you have some kind of workshop to see how you can develop the team culture in the future. You can take forward things like OKRs that are going to help you define the success. What are the successful areas for you as a team, for you as a product team, product management team, or even your products or your business? This can be also sometimes tied to the team culture. You want to achieve goals. You want to achieve those milestones. It will depend a lot on the team and the company culture. And this is very important, that you understand that your team culture will vary a lot from company to company. Some companies are going to be like more in the soft values or soft skills, and some other companies are going to be in very hard measurable metrics that they want to track as part of their team culture. And I cannot tell you what you're going to choose, because this will depend a lot on the type of company you have, on the type of team that you're driving. So a couple of things that I want to say about team culture. The first one is that no matter whether you try to define a team culture or not, or if your team has defined a culture or not, there's going to be always a team culture. Usually the least effort that you put in defining and agreeing on the team culture, the worse it's going to be, because usually it's just going and it's just happening naturally. And yes, sometimes it's going to be better, but the team has not sit down and agreed. And your team usually is not going to agree on all the perspectives on how they see how things should be done, because people come from very various backgrounds. This is why you want to put them together, because your teams very typically are going to be quite diverse of opinions. And by diversity, meaning pretty much anything. People can think that waterfall is the best way to work. Somebody else in your team may think that agile is the only way to work. If you have people like that, it's going to be very difficult to, agree if they had not sit down together on defining what is the best way of working for the team. And something else that is going to be very important for you when defining the team culture is that once you understand your team culture, when somebody joins, you have a team culture. You can check if they actually understand, agree with that culture, if they see that this is the way of working. And this is going to help you understand if this person is going to be a good fit for your team or not. And as much as diversity is very important, and diversity of opinions I'm talking about here, it is important. The problem is that if people think that they should be working in very different ways, somebody thinking, for example, we only work to build the perfect product, whereas somebody else wants to work in a very iterative way, this person might take sometimes months and even years to develop something because they want that perfect product. This one is going to want to do it in an iterative way and maybe releasing versions of the product every week or every month or whatever it is, or even daily, in a daily basis. This, if you had so different mentalities within your team, you might, and I would guess that you probably will have some kind of problems. So it's very important that you are able to have that company culture, and that when you are hiring people, you are hiring people that they understand and agree with this company culture. This doesn't mean that they don't have another backgrounds, that they don't have another ideas. When you're hiring somebody, you don't want to be, super box and not be able to be flexible, that you want to be. But you have to understand that there's certain practices and certain ways of working, certain beliefs that you have to have in your team that you want to keep. And finally, when you have defined, or when you're working towards building a team culture, you have to take into account what the company culture is. Sometimes it happens that there might be already a company culture, at least in paper, or some kind of values. It might be that there is none. It depends on the companies. Sometimes there is this company values or culture that it's in paper, but it's not taken into practice. From my point of view, typically it is easier to establish team cultures than to establish company cultures. Because company cultures, you can imagine, it takes a lot of people that you had to align, a lot of people that you had to build those practices and to agree on the ways of working. And to be frank and to be honest, not all the teams necessarily always have to work in exactly the same way. So the problem, or not the problem, but the situation here that happens is that the company culture tends to be maybe vaguer than a team culture. So if I think about a cross-functional team that has product management, product designers, tech leads, engineers, it has maybe quality assurance people, it has product designers, even product marketing, and so on. This team probably is going to have, I should have a very strong product or team culture, if I think about the whole company, the team culture, for example, think about a finance team or an IT team or one of these product or cross-functional teams are going to be quite different. And they are not going to have to work always in the same way. This is why I think that a company culture will tend to be a little more vague when a team culture can be much more defined or closer to how the team is going to be working. Because the team usually is going to be working in the same way, whereas for the company, teams are going to work in many different ways. But it's also good that you take into account, okay, what are the company values or what is the company culture and how do we relate with them? If you go very far away from your company cultures, you're going to have problems. And this is something that you should know. So how about you? Do you have company culture? Do you have team culture? More importantly, I'm quite interested in the topic of team culture for this video. Please share with us. Let us know in the comments below. And also, I'm pretty sure that you might think that what is important to define in the team culture might be different from what I said in the video. Please, again, let me know in the comments below what do you think are the most important parts of defining a team culture and how to help those teams be successful. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I will see you in the next one, and remember, stay safe.